is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider.
These are good problems to have, right? So much success that you have more than one place to be.
5-3, touchdown, Oregon.
Off a dribble, launches, and hits the three. Oregon leads.
What a great opportunity it is to be able to play at University of Oregon.
I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of something like this.
She wants another three. Oh, three in a row.
Swing and a miss. Oregon is headed to the Super Regional.
Fans being out there making this a great impact.
We are so privileged and so fortunate. We get to see all these young people. We get to see this incredible growth, which is what college is all about.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
It is signing day for a number of Oregon programs. Updates coming to GoDucks.com and via all of the Oregon team accounts on social media. There are so many recruits still coming in. If you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour, we'll have more updates for you as the day unfolds. Also, we didn't have Duck Insider yesterday because men's basketball had a nail-biter and they won in overtime, and women's basketball got a win over some brunch at Matthew Knight Arena. We had a basketball doubleheader, airtime conflict for us on Duck Insider. So here we are. We get a lot to review today, including Coach Lanning's weekly press conference and his conversation with the media after practice today. We will have more updates coming throughout the day for signing day. Also, some honors for Dylan Gabriel, for Bryce Betcher, for the Oregon offensive line. And we're going to hear a bunch of post-game conversations and post-practice conversations today as well. If you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour, still a lot to come, again, on signing day. All right, I know you want to hear from Coach Lanning. That's what I want to hear from. Every time we talk with him, it's brought to you by the White Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Fight like a duck with better cancer care close to home. Here's Coach Lanning.
All right. I want to start off by, acknowledging, a legend passing in the game, and always sad to see somebody leave that made so much to our sport. And John Robinson, want to recognize him. Obviously, legendary coach, but got to start right here with the Ducks. And I'm thinking about him and his family. Our entire organization are tonight. Also, want to acknowledge, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that it is Veterans Day and how grateful we are for the people that serve this country. And, with that being said, exciting weekend for the Ducks. Basketball off to a hot start. Did really well this weekend. And obviously our football game, we learned a lot of great things from that. But we can open it up to talk about Wisconsin.
You know what it's like to take over a program and get your guys in the system, establish a culture. What do you think about what Luke Fickell's done at Wisconsin over the past 2 years?
Yeah, I think Coach Fickell's a great coach. We actually got to play against him when I was at Georgia, and he was at Cincinnati in the Peach Bowl, and he had a really, really good team there. I think he's proven that he can develop teams. We came down to a field goal barely to be able to win it, and it speaks just to the kind of culture he can create. And you see pieces of that coming together for him now at Wisconsin, and I think he's doing a good job.
Just your thoughts on Locke and how he's settled in. Obviously, kind of a tough spot to replace a guy who was knocked out for the season, but what have you seen from him so far? Yeah,
has the ability, to make you hurt. I mean, he's a good football player, and it's all based on opportunities and what that looks like. But certainly has that ability.
Wisconsin's offensive line, I think, started the season with the most experience. Just what makes that unit specifically really effective in helping out the quarterback and their run game?
Yeah, I mean, they're big, right? It's one of those ones where you look at them and you say, okay, that's what an offensive line is supposed to look at. They have great size up front. I think they have the ability to move you, but when you look at it, you're like, okay, that's what a Wisconsin offensive line looks like.
Their top corner was really productive a year ago and now basically is going unchallenged for all intents and purposes. Just why have teams steered away so much from him, and how confident are you in the ability to test him when it seems like nobody's willing to?
Yeah, I think that's probably smart, right? As a football coach, not to throw to a guy that's going to make a lot of plays in the ball. I mean, how many picks did he have last year? 7, a guy had 7 picks last year, and, why not throw the other direction? That makes a little bit of sense. That being said, I think it's much more challenging for a defense whenever you can work the entire field. But there's a reason people aren't testing him, because he's a talented player.
Coach, you've obviously had the chance to take a look at the film just in regards to the penalties. What did you see in the game? Were some of them warranted, specifically some of the PIs, and just how did the group kind of respond today at practice?
They responded well. And yes, some of them were warranted, for sure. And I wouldn't say that there was like egregious ones that were missed. There's reasons, so we can improve in our technique. There's execution that we can do better. And, again, on Wednesday last week, we had some in practice. So that usually shows up in the game. So we have to do a good job of addressing it and making sure we eliminate them.
Their safety tandem, I think, is probably one of the better ones you'll face. Can
No
you
doubt.
speak to what those guys do and what kind of challenges they present?
Well, they're good tacklers. They do a great job disguising coverage, and they have some good mix-ups there. But, yeah, I think this is one of the more talented secondaries that we've seen. I think they play really well together, understand how to make, handle adjustments, which I think is always important in football. You see that show up with them.
The running back number 3 has been very productive this year. What have you seen from him, and does he kind of remind you of anyone that you guys have gone against so far this year?
I don't know if he reminds of anyone, but he just plays with a level of toughness and effort. I think those things show up on film. How hard you play, I think, speaks to, how much you appreciate your teammates. And, that certainly shows up with those guys.
With a chance to review how Dave and Kavika did at right guard, did one do better than the other? Does one have the edge in terms of starting going forward, or what was your assessment of those?
I think they both had different strengths and weaknesses within the game. Both, I think, played winning football, where you have the ability to have success with them on the field, which is great to see them prove that. And I think both earn the opportunity to be able to see what that looks like in the future.
Talk about going to the doctor every week. Now that you've got a chance to look at the film from this week, just maybe what were some big pills that you saw on film, both maybe offensively and defensively, that you got to swallow this week and get better at?
Yeah, I won't get into like great specifics, but I think just technique in this part of the season, a lot of places you'll trim down and eliminate, individual time to work on the fundamentals and technique. And the reality is this is when it matters the most, right? So we have to be fundamentally sound in scheme, but just as important, how you disengage off a block matters, how you play slot cover matters, right? How you tackle matters. And I think some of those things showed up for us that we could do better.
Kind of an unusual situation where the punter drops the ball. What could Dalen have done different? How do you instruct that? What kind of was the message to those guys?
Yeah, when they're in the pocket, which is the question there, is like, is he in the pocket? They're protected, right? So we've actually shown a clip before, a couple years ago, Missouri-Auburn play, the ball snapped over the head. The ball's picked up and kicked, and the guy's still within the tackle box, so he's protected, and the guy hits the punter. It's a very similar situation we've shown. It's one of those ones that you talk about, but I don't know that we emphasize that enough as coaches. But ultimately, you say go for the ball in that situation. Dalen's close enough to make a play. Coaching point is to go for the ball. Could understand his confusion in that moment, and if he's just a foot left, we're probably not even talking about it, and it looks like a completely different play.
We saw Tez without a sling before the game on Saturday, a week or so after the recovery. Just curious how that's progressing.
Yeah, I think he's doing well. Continue to evaluate where he's at, for us, but doing well.
An update on Jordan Birch and the right ankle, and also Jordan James, since limited exposure there in the second half.
Yeah, continue to evaluate, get those guys back. Right now, early in the week, we'll take a lot off of them, and then see, how they feel. But I anticipate that we should be able to see them.
Coach, do you feel like there are any particular holes within this Wisconsin unit that you guys can kind of expose or take advantage of this weekend that you guys are looking at right now?
You want me to tell you our game plan is what you're saying?
Game plan, no, just
like, hey, this is how we're going to attack them? I'm not telling you that.
Seems like the directional kickoffs are rather problematic regardless of who it is. Just when both Boyle and Sappington have shown an ability for touchbacks at the rate that they do, why even bother with the directional kickoffs at this point?
I think the one we kicked out of bounds was deep left kick. When we kicked it deep right, it was a touchback.
But there's also been, I believe, 4 or 6 out of bounds on the season. So just.
And which ones were deep right that were out of bounds?
They were mainly deep left, yeah.
And so we kick it deep left every time.
No.
And then a couple of them went out of bounds left. And then we kick it deep right and we got a touchback. So don't kick it out of bounds. Yeah. We're not telling them to kick it out of bounds. We're telling them to kick it deep left. Like they're supposed to, and it's supposed to be the same location every time. Deep left. They're not kicking it to that location. Crappy kick.
On a happier note, you're at the end of this 8-week gauntlet that no other team in the country has had to do. Dan, how do you feel at approaching the end of it, that you are experiencing and doing something heading into a final road trip with this, that, yeah, you're the number 1 team in the country and no other team has had to play 8 straight weeks of conference play?
Yeah, job not done, right? Our guys are enjoying the work. We're still having a lot of fun coming up every single day to get better and find ways to improve. And the challenge of this new conference and the travel and some of the teams that we got to play has been a lot of fun for us. But we got more work to do.
Dan Lanning, Oregon football head coach. So that was Monday in his weekly press conference. Now, some updates since Monday, and then we'll fast forward to what he said after practice today. Oregon quarterback Dillon Gabriel announced as a semifinalist for both the Maxwell Award and the Davey O'Brien National Quarterback Award. Gabriel, one of 16 semifinalists for the Maxwell Award presented annually to the top collegiate player. And then he's also one of 16 finalists for the Davey O'Brien National Quarterback Award. Number 1 ranked Ducks, a 10-0 record with Dillon Gabriel at quarterback, 74.1 completion percentage, leading the nation. You know who led the nation in completion percentage last year? It was the Oregon quarterback in Bo Nix. 2 efficient quarterbacks, tied for 5th nationally in total touchdowns, 6th in passer rating, 6th in passing touchdowns, 7th in total yards and completions, 8th in passing yards. The Heisman campaign continues for Dillon Gabriel. Also, Bryce Betcher, Oregon inside linebacker, announced yesterday 10 semifinalists for the Burlsworth Trophy. That's given to the nation's most outstanding football player who began his career as a walk-on. 3 finalists for the Burlsworth Trophy will be announced next Tuesday, and the winner will be announced December 9th. He's a dual sport athlete. No word on if the baseball performance and the fact that he's already been drafted to play professional baseball will influence, but all in favor of it influencing the Burlsworth Trophy, the dual sportness? I literally think he's got a good chance to win the thing. I do. I think that it's pretty outstanding what Bryce Betcher's been able to put together. Joined the football team in 2022. He's been a standout as a starting linebacker now for the Ducks. He leads the team with 60 total tackles through 10 games. He has 4 tackles for loss, a sack, and an interception. The number 1 team in the country, the leading tackler, started his career as a walk-on. He should win the Burlsworth Trophy. Congratulations to Bryce Betcher. And the Oregon offensive line announced yesterday one of 10 semifinalists for the Joe Moore Award. That's presented annually to the nation's most outstanding offensive line unit. Ducks are one of 3 teams in the nation to be a Joe Moore Award semifinalist in each of the last 3 seasons, along with Tulane and Tennessee. Oregon tied for 3rd in the Big Ten with 10 total sacks allowed this season. Coincidentally, we're talking with the Oregon offensive line coach, Alik Terry, for our pregame show that gets on the air at 2:30 coming up on Saturday. We'll have more. I like that. Ryan just said it. And they can catch. That's right. Oregon, very unique company. It's the Ducks and no one else in terms of offensive linemen scoring touchdowns over the last few years. And 2-point conversions. Josh Connerly looking like a running back. Should that factor in to the Joe Moore Award? All in favor? Aye. Agreed. Now, Coach Lanning, after practice today, some updates as the Ducks had what he called a good Wednesday practice. Oregon, I think, improved from last week. Coach Lanning on that and a whole lot more after practice today.
Good day today. Yeah, good Wednesday. Let's open it up.
Dan, obviously, you've used some unique motivational tools with the guys this year, from the FIBU T-shirt to going on the road to Michigan and everything that happened there. Why is it important to you to be creative in providing motivation and communication to these guys?
The mundane is really important in our sport. You have to be able to do the simple things consistently over and over and over again. I think the challenge for you as a coach is how can you make that mundane interesting, right? How can you continue to say we're going to push and do the stuff that's really simple, right, but keep it fresh for our players. So that's always our challenge.
Who are the coaches you've studied? What are the sort of philosophies you try to implement as far as that goes?
Yeah, anything and everything, right? We'll pull from anywhere, anything we see. Try to use that as motivation.
Last Wednesday, you said that you wanted to see more attention to details going into the game against. But then, how do you feel like you guys did this week in terms of attention to detail?
Today's Wednesday practice was much better than last Wednesday, but still plenty of room for growth.
Coach, how would you describe Mateo's impact?
Yeah, he's an impactful player. I had high expectations for him when he got here, and he's exceeded those expectations with the way he's worked. It's a really good room, that outside linebacker room. He's certainly a big part of that.
Looking at this 8-game stretch, where do you see the biggest growth maybe on both offense and defense from that first game to now?
Just playing as a team, right? Just uniquely playing as a team. I think that there's been a lot of growth in those moments of having each other's six, right? Having each other's back in moments. I think that's shown up consistently, whether it's the offense bailing out the defense or the defense bailing out the offense or special teams coming with a big play and really focusing on the next play.
Coach, with Mateo, what makes him, and leads you guys in sacks, obviously, what makes him such a force? And then how would you describe his ceiling?
Yeah, he's unbelievably talented, right? It starts there, and I think that room's really well coached, but he works really hard to take the details and execute them, right? He has a plan. You know, our entire front has a rush plan every single week, and part of it's how do we attack it. And then the number one sack getter in any league, in any division of football is effort, right? So you have to have maximum effort every rush because there's always somebody drawn up to block you. You have to beat that block.
He's being a focus of attention. Dan just has been cleaner in practice so far this week.
Yeah, we had 5 today. We had 13 last Wednesday, so it was cleaner, but it can still be cleaner than it normally than it is.
How's the secondary specifically been handling that issue?
They've been wearing boxing gloves all week. That's helped.
Any update on the two Jordans, James and Birch?
Yeah, just continue to evaluate them, see if they're available. We've had those guys out there helping us, so we'll see what it looks like.
A lot of their defensive production comes from their front seven. Just what stands out about 94 specifically on their front?
Yeah, twitch, right? He's got great twitch, and I think again a lot of their production from their defense, it's hand in hand. It works together. Their coverage allows them to get pressure up front, and they have some guys that do really good in pick games up front.
Coach, with Betcher back when he used to kind of have a tendency to hit after the whistle in practice, what did you do to get him to finally stop freaking doing that?
There was a field goal post on the far end of the practice fields, and he would run around it.
Just over and over.
Consistently.
You've been to Madison before, Coach?
I haven't.
You know, make some time for cheese curds or something after the game? Or
Probably not. Just the game. Just business. Yeah. You guys have to try it and tell me what it's like.
Can confirm I will do that for Coach Lanning. Yeah. I've also been told by no less than 3 people that I have to eat these very specific cheese curds when we're in Wisconsin. We'll see. So the business trip for me does include cheese curds. Sorry, Coach Lanning. Up next, women's basketball and men's basketball with a couple victories yesterday. We'll hear from some Duck football student athletes. Also, tonight, I should have said this earlier, 7 o'clock, the Oregon Football Coaches Show. Jeffrey Bossa will be with us. Looking forward to it. When we come back, though, talking hoops on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, so what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can run, but you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
when the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
The scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin.
I'll face a hurricane without meds. Now that's a tough pill to swallow.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack with you here in the Country Financial Studio. Women's basketball now 4-0 after a, I thought, solid performance, especially considering that the Ducks were coming off a top, 12 win. Baylor was number 12 in the country. Less than 48 hours later, you're turning around, you're playing at 11 o'clock. I think both teams started out a little bit slow, but the Ducks did what they needed to do. They won 66-35 over North Texas. Again, a 4-0 start to the season. Pretty impressive. The Ducks had 2 players in double figures. We're going to hear from both of them here coming up in a moment. But first, the head coach, Kelly Graves, brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute Research Center. Better cancer care close to home. Coach Graves, after a 4-0 start with brunch and basketball yesterday.
Hey, all right, you guys. Wasn't our best effort in terms of execution and stuff tonight, but I'm really proud of our team to come back like we did after, 36, 38 hours after a huge game the other night. I'm actually really proud of these guys and how hard we played. And North Texas is a really good team. They won their conference last year. They're going to win it again, more than likely. And I thought we did a great job, especially defensively. So let's go.
Specifically, did you like defensively?
Oh, I just thought the energy early. They scored a field goal on their first possession, and then they just got one more the rest of the half. When you're only allowing 2 field goals in a half, that's getting it done. And we played a bunch of kids, so it was everybody coming in and making a contribution defensively. Second half, we let up just a little bit, but at least offensively, we got our pace going, and so that the game itself was a little faster paced. Which is what we wanted. So we just got to put our second half offense into the first half, and our first half defense in the second half start putting us together.
Would you rather see that in a game like this, that the defensive presence is there despite the shots maybe not falling early on?
Well, I'm an offensive coach, so I just think for us to maximize our potential as a team, we want to get the game up and down. I thought the second half we did that. Toyed with kind of a different lineup. We went with 1 big and 4 guards and tried to spread them out, and we had some success with it. We got some open shots. We didn't make our threes, like we want to, but I actually kind of liked that lineup. So something new for us.
Did it feel like a bit of a hangover after the big win over Baylor?
Well, I would have thought that if we would have kind of not been on point defensively. But we were ready to play. Those kids, we defended really well in that first half. So to me, that means the experience won out. They were ready, and we just didn't execute it the way we wanted to. But I thought they were ready. That's a veteran team that can do that. Because let's face it, that was a huge game the other night, and we didn't mention it at all yesterday in practice. We didn't even watch the film. We just moved on to North Texas because we knew it was such a quick turnaround.
Points off the bench. It's the second time that's happened this season. How impressed have you been with some of the role players coming off this year already?
Yeah, when your 2 leading scorers are coming off the bench, that's impressive. But that's how it's going to be all year long. All year long.
What's sort of your philosophy on 3-point shooting? It seemed like early on they didn't care too much to take those shots, and then sort of letting it fly a little bit more in the second half. A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. If the right people have the ball in the right spot, they should be shooting it. And it was nothing by design, really. We just kind of let them open it up a little bit more in the second half.
Does Lisa continue to surprise you at all? I mean, maybe you've known this, maybe you've seen this for a while, but it just seems like every game she's doing something to kind of spark this unit from the bench.
Who was that? Oh, yeah, no, she's terrific. She does it every day in practice. She's a menace. Capital M out there. And she's shooting it. She attacked the basket. She's just a really good player. It's nice to have that kind of an energy player coming off the bench right now.
Obviously into the season, the lineup's been the same every time. Is this the lineup we could see potentially going forward, or are you still looking at potentially any tweaks?
Yeah, well, it's been working. We wanted to maybe make it a little bit more fluid. I think once Philly gets in 100%, I think, we're going to, she's going to probably move back into that spot. But, I don't think it really matters. We've got a lot of players that are pretty good, and we could start different lineups. And I think, we have unselfish players, too, that I think would be okay with it.
In her progression, it seemed like in spurts, you saw what she's capable of doing.
Yeah. She's a work in progress, but she's such a talent, and she's working at it. She's getting in better shape, and we're actually playing a little bit more than maybe we had anticipated up until now. But she says she feels good. The trainers are saying she feels good, so we're letting her play a little bit more. But she's not ready to play a 25-minute, even a 20-minute game yet. But hopefully soon. We've got a gauntlet coming up. I look at these two teams that we just played, and then we've got Grand Canyon, who's picked to win the WAC. Then we play Auburn from the SEC. Then we go to Hawaii and play Georgia Tech and South Dakota State. And then we come back home and play Washington State and USC. I mean, my goodness, every one of those teams, postseason teams. Who did the scheduling? But it's going to make us better. But we don't have an off opponent. We've got to bring it every night. So that's
in Philly's absence.
Sarah is good. She's active, and I thought Sarah did a nice job tonight. Decent on the boards, and she's running the court. Tried to play point guard a couple times. I let her know that's probably not in her best interest or ours. But I'll tell you, she's really had a great year so far for us. And I think she'll just, when the games get tighter, she's going to get more and more time.
This team could still improve?
Oh, everywhere. We had too many turnovers tonight. I thought we were a little loose with the ball. And I just think we've got to, really focus on, our three-point shooting. We've just got to be a little bit more efficient there as well. But no, I think we're improving. We got a long way to go. We're 4 games in, brand new team. But I'm really proud of the team. I'm pleased with where we're at.
Expect the depth to be like this going in?
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome stuff from Kelly Graves. Talking about, a 4-0 team. I mean, quick turnaround. Ducks are able to do what they need to do to move to 4-0. I think a lot of positive progression for Oregon women's basketball. And now to Coach's point, continuing to get some positive progression moving forward. Timeout. We'll come back, talk a little bit more women's basketball, still some men's basketball too. Doubleheader victories for the Ducks. Keep it here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Comes to a gun suicide attempt, all it takes is a moment.
Heather and I had an argument just like any other couple. I was lost. I had snapped. I had a gun, and I was going to take my own life. Heather helped me realize that there was still a life to live for the better of myself, my family. My weapon is now safely put away.
A moment of crisis can happen to anyone. Store your guns, locked, unloaded, and away from ammo. Hear more safe stories at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
I'm coming home to the place that I remember. Back to the land of my first love. Would you spread wide your arms for this wayward son? I left my
Stuck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Tonight, Jeffrey Bossa and Dan Lanning will join us here in the Country Financial Studio as part of the Toyota Coaches Show, 7 o'clock, just after 7 o'clock, across the Oregon Sports Network and on the Oregon Football social media channels. You can tune in. Women's basketball moving to 4-0. The two players that were in double figures in a relatively low-scoring affair, but Nani Falatea and Elisa Mevius both making 4 shots. They scored 11 points. Ducks spread the wealth offensively. Two players that Duck fans are still getting to know a little bit in Nani Falatea and Elisa Mevius. They met with the media post-game.
Nani, Elisa, the bench has really felt like it's stepped in a couple big times this season. Where do you guys feel like you guys get the motivation and the confidence to be able to come in at key moments and really help spark the offense?
I mean, I think it's just from our teammates. You know, we all trust each other, whether you're starting or whether you're on the bench. Everybody's expected to come in and do their job, so.
Yeah, we also compete in practice a lot, so we're trying to be really deep, really balanced as a team. So I think we all can play each position.
I think Alexis at the beginning of the season talked about how unselfish this team was, and again, I feel like that kind of starts with the bench and your guys' role that you contribute. Do you feel like you guys are modeling that right now, being an unselfish team?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of our key things that we talked about as a team at the beginning of the season, is just that, you know, it's not going to take 1 or 2 people. It takes everybody, and with that comes unselfishness.
Nani, really efficient night tonight, or efficient day today. How do you think, like, what went into that? Were you in the zone?
Man, I got to shout out Adi. She told me shout her out last time, but it's just, you know, coming in every day, getting up shots, and, you know, just doing what we do. So.
Elisa, was that a tough turnaround from Baylor Sunday night and into Monday for you guys? And just what was it like, just the emotion, having that game-winning shot and then having to get prepared, you know, less than 24 hours away and get ready for this game against North Texas?
So Kelly said we celebrate every win, but after we celebrated that, we were focusing on the next game. So I think our biggest opponent in the end is ourselves. And today we were a little bit in our heads in the first half, but then we picked it up, we played faster, and we got back to our own shape.
Was that just in your own heads? Was that just because of the tight turnaround, the early morning start? Why do you feel like you guys maybe got started a little bit slower offensively?
I think we're still getting used to doing the hard things every day, and sometimes we fall back into our bad habits. But we snapped out of it. The whole team did it. We all won the game together. So.
How important was the defensive presence? Because it really felt like that kept you guys in, especially early, to not allow North Texas to maybe take a big lead. How important do you feel like that was for you guys today?
That was huge. I think defense is always a huge thing because shots aren't always going to fall. You know, like the first half, we couldn't get anything to go in. And the only thing that matters really, what you can do at that point, is just keep locking down on D and doing what you're supposed to do. So.
Lisa, how do you think your defensive effort showed today? I mean, you had, you know, a couple steals and that draw and charge too. How do you think that your own effort plays into that?
I think it goes back to our team pressure. I think it's easier to be in the gap and get steals if there's pressure on the ball. So I think I take a lot of pride on defending, but also the team backs me off. And sometimes when I get beat, they help the help side. I know Ari Long took a charge one time I got beat, so we all work together in the end.
Lisa, your passing just over these last 4 games has really impressed me. I'm just wondering, how much do you work on passing, and, you know, where do you feel like that's a key strength of your game on the court?
I think I worked at it a lot when I was a kid. My mom is also a coach, so she went to the gym with me a lot, and just a lot of experience with playing. Having coaches that critique you in practice, just all of that.
Elisa Mevius and Nani Falatea meeting with the media after the Ducks moved to 4-0. And in the larger picture now, Oregon women's basketball coach Kelly Graves announced the signing of guards Sarah Barhoum and Janiyah Williams to athletic scholarship agreements during the fall signing period. Barhoum is from Clackamas, Oregon, 5'10" shooting guard. And while Williams, a 5'9" combo guard, Williams a 4-star prospect, the nation's 53rd ranked player, 6th highest in the state of Oklahoma. Really good class for us, Kelly Graves said. We've added 2 very talented players that will complement the pieces we already have and fit in well with our young team. Both extremely competitive great players, great students, and great people that will represent our team and community well. Women's basketball adding 2 more details on GoDucks.com. Elsewhere around signing day, Oregon softball program just released, if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour, student-athlete class for 2025. 3 Ducks have been added in an infielder in Taran Ho from Honolulu, a pitcher, Maddie Milhorn from Vancouver, Washington, and Amanda Urbina, an infielder out of Whittier, California. Coach Lombardi said a special group of people, high-level athletes, love their joy for the game, impeccable work ethics, and overall athleticism. Also a class that's final, men's golf. 3 freshmen will make their way to Eugene for the Oregon men's golf team next season. They're officially putting pen to paper here on National Signing Day. Head coach Casey Martin announcing Sebastian DeShoja, Oscar Lent, and Teddy Vigna all signed with the Ducks. Martin has high expectations for this class, saying, "I'm so excited about the group. All 3 players have demonstrated skills that translate to success at the college level and beyond. I believe all 3 will play a huge role for Oregon golf going forward. I anticipate all 3 of them playing as freshmen." That's Casey Martin talking about his incoming class. Still rolling in here on signing day for a number of Oregon programs. We'll have some more updates for you on GoDucks.com and beyond for the Ducks moving forward. Quick timeout. When we come back, let's review what happened with men's basketball. There's a lot to unpack from last night. More coming on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear autumn leaves, you won't be covering roads alone this season. Take on fall in the powerful Toyota Tundra or tackle trails in a Tacoma. Head to Toyota.com for more info. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear autumn leaves, you won't be covering roads alone this season. Take on fall in the powerful Toyota Tundra or tackle trails in a Tacoma. Head to Toyota.com for more info. Toyota, let's go places.
Back to the Country Financial Studios in 60 seconds. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
You say you never give in to a meltdown and never fill your feed with kid photos. You say you'd never put a pacifier in your mouth to clean it and never let them run wild through the grocery store. So when you say you'd never let them get into a car without you there, no, it can happen. 1 in 4 hot car deaths happen when a kid gets into an unlocked car and can't get out. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
You know you make me wanna take my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now, so good to see you real.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. I'm Joey Mack here with you in the Country Financial Studio. So Oregon men's basketball last night. Let's just look at the score. It was 80-70. Just forget the fact that it went to overtime and forget the fact that there was some high blood pressure and I think that about sums it up. Everybody here in the studio agree that was a nail biter. Ducks are 3-0 though, but it was a nail biter. Oregon spread the well. Shellstad scored 13, and Jackson was 5 of 19 from the floor, but he did have 10 rebounds, a career high in rebounds, first ever double-double for Jackson Shellstad. TJ Bamba scored 10. Nate Biddle had 13 and 9. Jadrian Bam Tracy, though, 8 of 11, made some winning plays for the Ducks, the leading scorer with 19 points. And then Keyshawn Bartholomew, thank goodness for his 8 straight points. Otherwise, we would be having a very different conversation. I almost said difficult, and you know what? I'm going to go back and rephrase. We would have been having a very difficult conversation here today, right? Different, difficult, both true. Exhale. As Oregon did move to 3-0, and Coach Altman, you can imagine there are some growth moments potentially for Oregon. Got it done in overtime, but definitely not the kind of performance that the Ducks were looking for. Coach Altman, take it away.
Dan, that was about as ugly as we've ever seen a team of yours play for 36 minutes, and then about 9 minutes of some pretty terrific basketball. Why the such extreme differences in that span there?
You know, we just a lot of selfish play. I thought the first half, just a lot of bad shots. They weren't going in. You know, we got a few good looks. They didn't go in. You know, until late, they were up on the boards. You know, just all the energy, all the hustle plays they were making. Really disappointed in our team preparation. That's on me. They saw the Santa Barbara score, and I told them that Santa Barbara hit 16 threes, and they only hit 5. And of their threes, they had a lot of good looks. They just didn't go in. But, you know, we came out lethargic and gave them a lot of confidence, giving them easy baskets. I don't know how many defensive assignments we messed up to give them easy baskets, but we weren't anywhere near, you know, locked in. And, you know, that first half, just no energy, no transition, didn't run hard. We got a lot to learn from this, I hope.
Coach, what were your thoughts on Keyshawn at the end of that second half?
Well, he gave us a big boost. He and Bam really gave us a big boost. The couple threes that he hit and the two, you know, really gave us a big boost. You know, we needed something there. He had missed a couple right before that, and but knocked a couple down there. And they tried to, you know, drive him on the defensive end, and he struggled a little bit there, but he did a lot of good things. And like I said, he and Bam, you know, brought us back, no doubt.
Can't make a comeback without getting stops defensively. Were there changes, or what do you make of the team's play in the last 4 minutes?
Well, just there's a sense of urgency. We cleaned up some of our switches. You know, we lucked out. They missed a couple free throws there. But no, I'm not sure, you know, we changed much. We just made fewer mistakes, didn't give them second shots. So, but, you know, like I said, I don't want to take any away from them because they were better prepared and they played harder than we did. They were up on rebounding, I think, until overtime. You know, they were out rebounding us, second chance points, points off turnovers. They had it all. They had every category until, like you said, that last, you know, 9 minutes, 8 minutes. But they controlled the whole thing. They outworked us, and we're lucky. We're very fortunate.
Were you guys settling for three-pointers?
Yeah, we took just, they don't have any shot blockers, and, you know, we just, and then like in the second half, they hit a couple threes. We came down and, you know, we tried to get it back with one pass and a three. No rebounders, no. Bad basketball, bad coach team. There's no other way to put it. If I'm watching that game, I said, who the hell coaches that team? No, I would. I mean, they hit one in the corner. TJ comes down, just fires one up. No rebounders. The kid banks one in. Nate, next possession, just throws one up. And I'm not saying they can't shoot threes, but we needed a possession. You know, we needed a possession there, and that was just a reaction, you know. So, yeah, no, a lot of quick ones. You know, I want them to be aggressive, but they got to be a lot smarter than that.
Is there a voice you'd have liked to see kind of step up in that moment and enforce that on the guys and get them to run a little more offense, whatever?
I don't know. You know, we're looking for leadership. You know, I'd say all of them were guilty of it at one point in time. You know,
is that maybe the challenge of having a new group with a bunch of different guys?
They, you know, they have a little opinion on how the game should be played, and I have one, and we're not quite together on how that should be. But, you know, let's take our three-point percentages, 31, 33, and 22. So you tell me, and 3 games at home, okay? So apparently we're either not as good a three-point shooting team as we think we are, or we got to take better threes. But 31, 33, and 22%, not going to win us many games, especially when you take 31 of them.
Coach, how important is this game moving forward, learning from the adversity for this young team?
Well, we're not a young team. We're a team that's but We got vets messing up switches and giving up buckets. We're a team that's new playing with each other, but we're not a young team. And so that's what disappoints me a little bit, the sense of urgency for guys that, apparently came here to, to win. And again, to get out rebounded until overtime and think, points off turnovers and that's just effort. So believe me, I'm so happy we won the game, because I would be unbelievably miserable. Now I'm just miserable. Okay? So, but our players should be. They should be happy that they won the game, but they should be embarrassed. And not because Portland's a bad team or anything else, just the energy level we played with. We're at home. We got a vet team. They started, 2 freshmen, brought 2 more off the bench? That, so, they outcoached us, they outworked us, they outplayed us. Bam and Key gave us a few plays to give us a chance.
Then when you do have vets, some who've been at the tournament and some who aspired to get there, came here to do that, do you think they recognize just how tenuous that, I don't have to school you about net and what that means and Q4 impacts come March, but do you think they appreciate just how devastating that actually would have been? Like, you would have been miserable regardless, but
I don't know. I think they know, but we're in a different age. How do you separate the student athlete from, the student athlete that's getting paid? There's points there, where we got to figure that out, and it's hard to have a young man that, but they're getting paid and you kind of want to get on them, but you still got to, they're still student athletes. But no, I hope they understand how important, just finding a way to win that was. We're going to take a hit in Ken Palm and everything else because of our efficiencies. And so, you shoot the ball 40%, 22, and you're going to drop. And our guys, and that'll drop in the net. We'll drop in the net whenever it comes out. So I don't know if they look at it or not, but they ought to. And they ought to realize that you got to get prepared every night you go out, because Troy's really good. They got 9 guys back, and they are really well coached, and they'll be really good. And then Oregon State's playing good, and we got to go over there, and we always have trouble over there. And then it's A&M and San Diego State and another tough one, and then we go to USC. Then we got UCLA coming in. It's going to get a lot different. So we're going to have to pick it up a lot.
Last question. How do you approach, I guess, then practice this next couple of days? Is it a reset? Is it just keep hammering fundamentals, or?
Oh, we're going to hammer them. No. I told them that, fellas, we got to get better. We got to get tougher. In 2 weeks, we played 2 games back to back, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're not prepared to do that mentally, physically. So yeah, no. I guess the NCAA requires to give them a day off here somewhere, but when we're in practice, no, we're going to practice. And again, I don't know any other way. Tell them it's okay? We're fine, guys? No. We got to change some things. We can't allow those defensive mistakes. We can't allow to be out-rebounded. We can't be allowed to be out-fought. And so we've got to change some things. And you can say, well, the shots just weren't going in. Well, the reason some of them didn't go in is because they weren't good shots. And so we're going to watch that film tomorrow. They're not going to like what I say. So at least we'll be even. I didn't like the way they played, so I didn't like to say. So we'll both be miserable then. But no, it's a good group. We got to figure some things out, and we're really fortunate. We're really fortunate because we got out-coached, we got outworked, and Bam stepped up and made some really good plays, and Keyshawn hit a couple shots there late that we desperately needed.
All right. The Ducks are 3-0. And in all seriousness, I mean, I really, just from a fan and a broadcaster perspective, I really appreciate Coach Altman always getting to the point. The team knows. Now imagine that conversation if the Ducks had lost. Imagine the impact to that conversation in the press conference about the impact and what it means in the big picture. Look, maybe this is exactly what this Oregon team needed to have that growth moment. We'll see what happens on Sunday when the Ducks play Troy at 2 o'clock. And then to Coach Altman's point, that tournament comes quick. Comes quick. Really quick. When the Ducks get ready for a couple of tough matchups on the road, playing at Oregon State, they're going to be ready. Yeah. I appreciate that perspective from Coach Altman. We'll come back and hear from the players' perspective. Keyshawn Bartholomew, thank goodness he hit a couple threes late. Keep it here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Duck Insider continues from the Country Financial Studios in 1 minute on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
All right, son. Time to put out this campfire.
Dad, we learned about this in school.
Oh, did you now? Okay. What's first?
Smokey Bear said to.
First drown it with a bucket of water, then stir it with a shovel.
Wow, you sound just like him.
Then he said,
if it's still warm, then do it again.
Where can I learn all this?
It's all on SmokeyBear.com with other wildfire prevention tips, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Oregon Football Coaches Show coming up tonight as we welcome you back to Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. We'll be here in the Country Financial Studio starting at 7 o'clock. Just after 7 o'clock, we get on the air with Coach Lanning and Jeffrey Bossa joining us. And then men's basketball again, moving to 4-0. Keyshawn Bartholomew hit some big shots. Some of Keyshawn Bartholomew's thoughts post-game as the Ducks were able to move to 3-0 with that interesting win over Portland in overtime. Here's Key.
How do you describe the first 36 minutes of the game and then the last, 9?
For myself, for the team.
Just how it played out for your team.
Honestly, those first 36 minutes was probably the worst 36 minutes we played all season. Honestly, with including myself, I was definitely not good enough. But defensively, we didn't impose our will. We gave up a lot of easy baskets. We messed up a lot of switches. And, we were just we were just too cool, honestly, to care at that point, and it was probably really obvious from the naked eye. But those last 9 minutes, we picked it up, and we squeezed by. To be completely honest with you.
What is the difference for you, Key, when you're able to hit the threes in the final couple minutes compared to earlier in the game or in the last game where it was a struggle?
Honestly, I think I was just the first few games just been in a slump. It happens. I mean, I hadn't played in 9 months prior to the beginning of the season, so I wouldn't say that was to be expected. But I'm pretty tough on myself, and I got a shooter's mentality, so I kept shooting. And the difference is my teammates were looking for me tonight. Not saying that they weren't the other nights, but they were really putting an emphasis on that tonight. So I appreciate them for that.
At the end of regulation, you helped corral the ball there after Jackson's miss. You had been shooting well. So what are you thinking? What are you seeing? And then obviously dishing it off to Bam. What do you see there?
I'm just looking to make the right plays, right? Like that's what this team wants to buy into. And like we can talk about my threes all we want, but Bam was phenomenal tonight. You know what I mean? Like he played his butt off. And there's nobody more deserving for that bucket than him. And I thought he was just open. I was like, he's open. He can make a play, and he had been making plays all night. So kudos to him.
You pinpoint a moment when you guys turned it around as a team?
That's a good question. Honestly, like, this has all been like a blur for me. So, like, I couldn't give you an exact like point in time where it happened, but I just know that we started pressing and we started making them a little uncomfortable, and they were, they weren't turning the ball over, but once you press people, they might not crack in the first 10 minutes of a half. They just crack like last 5 minutes, last 4 minutes, or last 9 minutes of a game. You know what I mean? So that's what we did, and we didn't give into it.
Keyshawn, what does it mean for you personally moving forward, knowing that you can come into the game in the final 4 minutes and provide that boost that they need to win?
I mean, obviously it feels good. I hadn't been shooting the ball well at all, actually. Probably the worst in my career, to be honest. But, I mean, it feels good, but I definitely, this was probably my worst defensive game, I think. So the shooting was good, but I got to be able to bring both to the team, like shooting and defense and playmaking and energy. But defensively tonight, I was pretty bad, I think. So, but just to answer your question, the shooting does feel good.
Hit a couple big shots though, Keyshawn Bartholomew did, and I think that's got to feel good, right? And the injury that he went through, now just seeing him out there making plays like that was cool for me to see, knowing how hard he worked to get back to this point. So the Ducks move to 3-0. Basketball teams are still undefeated. Football teams are still undefeated. More signing day updates for you on GoDucks.com throughout the day. We'll have some more updates for you tomorrow as well. Oregon Football Coaches Show tonight, and more Oregon football preview tomorrow. See you then.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and I dedicate a lot of my time going fast. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services and access available treatment.